everyone, welcome to our new podcast, Unlikely Neighbors.
Woo!
I'm okay, sorry. I didn't know you were gonna do that. That was a surprise. Okay, let's try it again. Hi everyone, welcome to our podcast, Unlikely Neighbors.
Woohoo!
I'm Adeline.
I'm Audrey, and today we're interviewing two of our very good friends, Aileen and Mandy. So we all know each other for a super long time. All four of us are back in Hong Kong, and we meet up for game nights. We just hang out. I think Mandy and Adeline also go to the same church. Aileen and me, we go to the same church, so we kind of run into each other a lot. And then this last year, we've had a lot of different things happening in Hong Kong. So something recent, which I'm sure everyone knows about, is the coronavirus, and this has 100% affected just our daily lives and everything that we do. And recently, it's affected schools. And what that means is schools have moved online. So what's really interesting is that Aileen and Mandy, they're both teachers in Hong Kong, but they're very young teachers. So this is their, I'd say probably first or second year teaching, and they have this huge curveball thrown at them where they're having to switch to online learning and online school. Today we're just going to interview and discuss with them what that experience has been like. I feel like their insight is very powerful into how to manage all this change and how to really connect to their students in different platforms in different ways. So if you want to tune in for the next portion of this podcast, we'll be hearing from them.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Mandy. I am 27 years old. I'm a teacher at an international school here in Hong Kong. I work with grade 1s and yeah.
My name is Aileen. I work at an international school in Hong Kong. Yeah.
What has been your most significant or impactful moment in the classroom?
Do you want to take this one?
Okay, I can go. Some of the daily impactful moments for me are when I see my students opening up to me. So I work with 6 and 7-year-olds. So they're not going to be sharing, their deepest revelations or whatnot, but you can still tell when they are feeling more comfortable with you, when they feel secure in the classroom, and I love seeing that with my students. Another thing I love seeing is when they are proud of their own accomplishments. Little things like that really make
So
my day.
cute,
Yeah. I had a student recently who sent me a voice note because we're doing online learning, and she was like, "Miss Sun, I'm so happy that I got 25 out of 25 on my spelling test." And this is a student who struggles with spelling, with reading. So she was so proud of herself, and she just wanted to share that joy. And it made me so happy. Things like that make my day.
That's awesome.
Things
It's
like
always
that.
nice when you can see that they trust you.
Yeah, and they want to share the little things about their lives.
Yeah. I feel like I don't have one impactful moment off the top of my head, but I guess the same thing, just hearing kids be really proud of what they've achieved. Yeah.
No, you work with middle schoolers, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
Your interactions with them are going to be more
Conversational.
conversational, where they have thoughts that they formed that they want to share with you.
Yeah, recently with online learning and everything, there's this one boy in my class who has been struggling a little with writing, and he did really well on this last assignment, and I could tell he really pulled everything that he could think of and threw his heart into the work, and I commended him, and I went over and beyond, and I emailed his parents about it, and I was like, wow. I'm so paranoid now. I forget to be specific in the subject of the email heading, so when the parents see the email, they're not like, "Son, what have you done?"
Oh, no.
So I was like, good things about the students' writing. And I was like, you know what, your son did such an amazing job. Please, ask him to read you his piece of writing. Ask him to show you. And, she replied, and she was like, you know what, my son was so happy to hear what you wrote.
Wow.
He actually told me about this yesterday. So I was like, oh, whoa, what? That made me really joyful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, you guys both alluded to the fact that you guys are doing online learning. So we'd love to know more about, how has COVID-19 and the outbreak changed the way that you've been teaching? And how long has this been going on for you guys?
It's March right now, so
Yeah.
it's been a little over a month. A month and a week, I think.
Yeah.
Basically, we've stopped seeing the students in person at least since February 3rd.
I'm thankful, though, because the protest that shut the school down for a few days, that actually prepped us,
Yeah.
on what to do. So right after we came back from that situation, I straight up just told my kids, if this happens again, this is what you need to do.
Oh, wow.
So, I felt like I jumped right into it.
Yeah. How has that changed, your teaching style, having to switch to, an online format?
I guess I've had to be really organized, much more organized than I usually am, because usually I just get into the classroom, I know what I'm doing, and I can just do it now I have to think about how I'm gonna deliver that information to them. Like, I've been experimenting with doodle instructions, so I got my iPad, I rented an Apple Pen from the IT department, and then I started doing these doodles, and the kids loved it. Like, they told me they loved the color, and they loved listening to my voice, and they also loved my bad drawing. I'm just so bad at drawing, like genuinely terrible at using the Apple Pen.
You went to art school.
I did, but I can't draw people, and like we're learning about people, so I like draw stickmen, and then they like always bring up how I always make fun of their stickmen.
Her
So
doodles
you-
are actually like Picasso. Just teasing.
Dude, I like straight up like confess these students are such great artists.
It's because they know how to use the apps. Like
Not just
Oh,
that, like a pen and
technologies.
paper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so like recently I've also been experimenting with making my own like Google sites for each unit.
What?
So, because they were very confused, I realized that, like, talking to a few of them one-on-one, like, they had to memorize how each teacher was doing online learning, and they had multiple classes a day, and they had to click and do, like, every teacher's doing it differently. Some people do it on PowerSchool Learning, some people do it on Google Classroom,
Yeah.
and they were just, like, frantically trying to get from point A to point, like, D, like, on time. And then they get penalized if they're not there on time and stuff like that, right? So the school's been doing really well. Like, we have spreadsheets that help parents and students get on the same page. My Google site is like the entire unit of literature we're doing right now. Everything they need, all the recordings, the tutorials, the assignments, they're on one place.
That's awesome.
So do you feel like you spend way more time like doing all the prep work? Like, what do you think takes the most amount of time?
Oh my
out of the
goodness,
day?
yeah. I feel like I'm doing triple the amount of work I usually do. Because
Oh,
not
wow.
only am I prepping, I have to grade all the stuff that comes in. And then I have to keep track of who's actually doing it on time. And if they're not, I have to put it on like 3 sheets that go out to their parents and the principal and on their grade book. And then I have to contact them about it. So all this stuff takes so much time. Now I'm trying to get into a rhythm where like I do grading one day. I do prep like one day for like the week, and then I just contact students. the
Yeah.
rest.
How do you feel like your students handle online learning? Is it pretty smooth on their end?
It's better now. At the beginning, definitely they were running around like headless chickens,
Yeah.
trying to figure out when their meetings were.
Yeah.
Like, I had so many kids not make it to the Zoom meetings and then
Oh,
show up
wow.
at my other meetings because they were just lost. They were just confused.
Yeah.
And we told them for like 3-4 full weeks, like every day, like we're following the school schedule. But like, I don't know if they understood that because people were still showing.
Yeah. I think kids, like, we forget that kids don't know how to really schedule.
Yeah, and organize.
Yeah.
They need routine,
Yeah.
and it's hard to implement routines from my house, you know,
Yes.
for them at their house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Mandy? What
My
do you
kids, because they're so young, we've really been relying on the parents to help them with the technology aspect of everything. The parents have to be there to set up the Zoom conferences with them. I think a lot of my students are learning now how to log in on their own, but last month was very hard on the parents because they were balancing their own work things, and they also had to pick up the duties of, you know,
The parents have been really working really hard.
I feel really appreciative of my parents in my classroom because they have just shown me so much encouragement and support, even though they also are struggling. But yeah, the kids are learning how to use Zoom, which I feel they would have never have had to
Oh, that's
try
true,
beforehand. And they're learning how to upload their works online or doing their assignments on the computer or their iPads, and I feel like it's a skill that they may not have had to learn before, but definitely because of their age, the parents almost have to be there to support them.
Yeah.
So whereas for Aileen, she mentioned how her kids have to be online at a certain time.
Yeah.
My students were trying to be more flexible, so the students may do their assignments much later in the
Yeah.
day, but we are required to meet with them once every morning. Once every day.
Every day.
I meet with my
Wow.
students once every day. I try to keep the same time. It's like our morning meeting, so then they wake up and then they meet, so we know what to do for what their schedule looks like, and then we let them choose how they want to do their learning.
Yeah.
So was this morning meeting like something you implemented like already when you have face to face in the classroom?
So it's something that they're familiar with. We do our calendar time, we do our weather check, things like that. Because of the routines we've had in the classroom, I've been able to transition them to our online Zoom conferences.
Yeah.
I feel like if I didn't have those in place, it would be a lot harder to get them to meet and know what to do, because I feel like they'd be really lost.
Are you still working like long hours then?
I feel the same way as you. I feel like I'm working long hours in a different sense. I'm waiting for uploads. I'm trying to upload things. I'm waiting to receive their work so I can mark it. I definitely felt pushed to my limits last month, but with how everything has been prolonged, I'm starting to find ways to cope with it and how to deal with this online learning. Yeah.
Speaking of like skills, like a lot of what I'm learning to do, I'm learning from the kids. Like, I guess because my kids are older, like a lot of these 10-year-olds, they love to code now. Like, I've never heard of kids coding. Yeah. No, so quite a few of them code and they've been making games. So I was like, oh, you can make a game for like your project.
I love that.
That's awesome.
And there's this one kid who uses like Google Drawings and he does these elaborate artwork. And so one of our work right now, we're reading the book Hatchet. Every chapter that we read, they're kind of doing like a doodle, like a
I love that.
like a doodle.
Wow.
So this kid like is using like, you know, the circle shapes, but like he's distorting them somehow. I didn't even know you could do that. Like he's doing it on Google Slides, which is like PowerPoint presentation, and he made like a bear with trees, and it was crazy. So it feels like he's making an actual book coming to life. Another kid was the one who got me onto the doodle instruction thing. Like he was like, you know, you can do this and this and this, and I was like, whoa, what? So like,
my students keep annotating every time I share my screen with them. I'm like, disable annotations. They're so clever. I totally agree with you. I'm learning a lot about their talents and skills outside of academia.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, which I love.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to give a little context just for people listening. Like, parents have also been working from home a bit too because of the virus, but then some are going back to work. So every like household is different. So some parents are with kids, and then some are away and then come back in the evening. Yeah.
And I think a lot of parents in Hong Kong, like both parents end up working.
Yes.
So that's more common than I think in other parts of the world.
Would you guys say your students are like at a place where they're thriving now, or are they still kind of struggling and jumping in?
I would say my kids are doing so much better than before. Yeah. But I don't know how much longer they can do this, because some of my students haven't left the house since this started. They've been quite melancholic. As it
because school life is not just about academics.
It's their friends.
It's also about socializing, learning how to socialize, and that part is really important, especially actually it's important all throughout, I feel. These socializing skills, I find I'm not able to translate or teach them or work with them on because we are all learning online.
But I would say they're doing better, just not amazing.
I think what you're trying to say is like they're getting the hang of online learning, getting their work in, but it's definitely not good for their mental health to be holed up at home for such long, lengthy periods and not be able to interact with their friends in the way that they normally are.
Yeah. It's crazy because like your kids are like 10 years old, your kids are 6 and 7, and you would think that they would be further along or like be able to get the hang of things, but it's crazy that they still can't.
We're also a very like tech savvy city. So I feel like most kids have like a smartphone at such a young age. I would expect that too.
I think also like we take for granted school and being in school and like that experience because we're always like, like school, who wants to go to school? Yeah, but I mean, this is just like an example of how like the schooling experience is a lot more than just an education.
Yeah. What are you guys looking forward to when school starts back? Like with students coming back in?
I just miss my students. Like I genuinely just miss talking to them. I miss just getting to know them better and like laughing. I always go down when they're eating and I'll like make fun of them down there. Oh my gosh, I do throw a lot of shade at my students. Like they like expect it now. Like every Wednesday when I'm on lunch duty, they like some of them wait for me and then they'll like make way for me and I'll sit with them and then they'll be like, "Listen, look at this person," and then I'll be like, "Hey, 10 points for Gryffindor," like something stupid, like 10 points for Gryffindor for the first kid who can roll from one side of the podium to the other.
Oh my god!
And then they really do it. And they're like, because they're so competitive and they get so bored, right? Just looking at each other's faces. So I'll come up with stupid things like that and they'll like do it. And
or they just like you. So they're like, I'll do anything you say.
I actually remember like one of my favorite high school teachers were also like always throwing shade and like just like very easy to get along
with. Somebody that they could banter with and have conversations with.
Yeah, and then sometimes they'll like, because we listen to vocabulary, which is like
what
history
is that?
and rap. No, it's history and rap. Stop it. Yeah, no. And the kids love it, so they'll be singing it in the podium, and then I'll be like, I don't know the words.
Give us a little.
Like Hamilton.
Sure.
Like legit. This is probably
okay, but this is like the educational, like legit legit.
Yeah, so like if you do a
Okay.
unit on like ancient Greece, then they have like a rap for ancient Greece, and then if you're learning grammar, elementary school uses this as well because they have like raps for like remembering how to use
The
like
phonemes.
nouns or like
okay.
or how to insert punctuation.
Oh yeah. Oh okay.
It's
Okay. I see what you're
legit.
saying. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did
they
that
even
for
have high
math.
school ones.
Yeah.
I remember doing like multiplication table by song.
Oh,
Yeah.
multiplication
I
rap.
know.
I know it.
I can't see
There-
it.
I've never heard of
And
it.
then multiplication rap. It's like that. But music really
Very
does help
dancing.
people
Yeah.
learn.
Yes,
Yeah.
no,
Especially
totally.
for little kids, but I guess 10-year-olds
Middle
too.
school.
No, high schoolers use it too. There's
Oh,
a one for
wow.
AP Psych and everything.
Wow.
That's too funny.
Yeah, I'll show you.
I like
Yes.
that. I like and miss the interactions between my students and myself. I think those were really important.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to having a celebration with the kids when we come back. We want to have a party with them.
Yeah.
In the classroom. It's hard to say we're excited for school to start because as of
We
now
don't
we
know
are
if we're starting.
unsure. And
Oh,
yeah,
I
Carrie
see.
Lam recently made an announcement where she said it's improbable. Is that a word?
Yeah.
No, I think they talked
Impossible
about
for
improbable is a word.
schools to all commence at the same time.
Yeah, so they're gonna
that-
stagger it. Like
Yeah.
high school's gonna start first because all
Which
their
is-
exams are
Oh, I
important.
see.
Yeah, which makes sense because high schoolers, it's more pressing for them. They have things they need to do.
Yeah.
They're trying to move into college.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And then we have AP exams and everything.
yeah. So we're definitely looking forward to seeing the students in person again. But as of now, it's hard to say
Mm.
when that will be. And so it's hard to answer to students and parents because we don't know either. Yeah.
So even thinking about it is difficult.
Yeah,
No
it's
way.
like,
Yeah, because
okay.
we don't know.
Yeah. Basically, this entire term 3, this is quarter 3 right now, has been online. It's
Wow.
actually so crazy.
Oh my goodness, I didn't realize until this very moment.
entire term.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's actually very wild
Yeah.
that we live in this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you think that like teaching online and this whole experience will change the way that you teach in the future?
I feel like now I have a better understanding of my grade level's mental capacity and what they're
Mm.
able to do.
Yeah.
So that's been really great, like very insightful. I also feel like I have grown in instruction, like my ability to like instruct people in many different ways. I mean, doodle instructions. I'm very proud of that.
So you said you understand more about your students' mental capacity.
Mhm.
So how did you get to that point, or like how did you learn that through this experience?
The first 2 weeks were rough. Like a lot of kids just never handed in any of their work. And I see them every day. So can you imagine? That's like 10 pieces of work or like 10 check-ins they didn't do.
Oh, wow.
So I started Zooming individually with kids one-on-one, and that was so tiring. But it was really amazing to just like listen to them and just ask them, hey, like, you're not in trouble. I just want to know what is going through your mind. Like, what are you struggling with? And I just realized it was the same thing. They were just feeling really frazzled, number one. Number two, they were always living in fear that their parents would like yell at them for like not doing work, but like
yeah.
at the same time, they don't know what's going on.
Mm.
Like they just genuinely didn't know. And number three, like I realized that they were not able, like as you said, like they weren't able to organize.
Yeah.
They weren't able to just wake up in the morning and be like, all right, at 9 o'clock I'm gonna open my laptop and do this and do that and do that. So like they have good intentions. They get on that computer, but like sometimes, you know, gaming or YouTube calls and like they don't realize. So everything that we struggle with and procrastinate with, like they struggle with that tenfold.
Yeah.
So just like Zooming with them individually and getting to know that and being able to organize with them like was amazing.
I want to jump in.
Yeah.
What she said made me think about something. In the school setting, I get the chance to work directly with the students. I tell them directly what they need to do, and then they take on that kind of responsibility, or they have to do things independently in the classroom. Now with the online learning, we are almost speaking to the students through the parents. The parents have to
I
be that
see.
mediator. In that sense, it's been difficult because we're not getting that one-on-one connection with our students that we normally would get.
It's like there's a barrier kind of in between
Yeah.
your norm.
And the thing is, the parents are trying to help in the best way that they can, but we are definitely losing that classroom,
Yes.
personal
Yeah.
attention. I'm not sure how to word
I
it.
think also like that's an interesting point that you brought up. Like there's a lot of probably strain on the family
Yes,
relationship, strain on
100%.
parents. Like,
Yeah.
they have so much stress on job security, their own job security, and then now, like, their kids, like, they can't be independent, and they have teachers who care about them, but have to, you know, voice out their concerns as well directly to the parents.
Sure.
It's also really dependent on, like, the child-parent relationship. Like, if that relationship in itself is stressful, then any kid trying to manage schoolwork and adding this new dynamic of being at home all the time and having a parent participate so much in school would change a lot.
And I speak from, I don't know, is it a place of privilege where I feel that, oh, all my students have a safe home, but not everybody does. So that's something I wanted to take into consideration too, and not everybody has extra support at the house, like grandparents help the kids or whatnot.
I think also, like, a lot of kids who are under the social economic line or whatever, like, the only meal that they get sometimes is at school. Like, I think not maybe in your schools, because, like, international schools is a different point of privilege, but I think, like, in local schools, or maybe for kids who are from, like, more poorer backgrounds, like, school also was that safe place for them as well.
So they're definitely losing another space of interaction, of comfort, so I don't know how that will affect. I find that it probably will come back and bite us in the butt. Like, I just don't know. I anticipate it being something that we would have to address eventually.
What kind of advice would you guys give new teachers, maybe, who are switching into the online format? Because we have the U.S., I think, right now, who's switching into online schooling. So if you could kind of give input, advice, or, like, your highest recommendation on how to take on the transition.
My personal advice would be, I think Aileen mentioned it earlier, you need to establish a routine. Working from home is so different than working in your office or in your classroom, because the home is a place of rest, right? But now it's also your place of work. So you need to have your routine set, especially when you're working with the students. And you need to streamline. The whole school needs to get on the same page about what program they're using. In my view, admins need to help guide their faculty in that direction. Make sure that everybody's using the same platform so there's no confusion. Give the students flexibility in assignment hand-in dates is what I want to say. I know may not be the case for all schools, but and finally, maintain your interactions with the students. I found that I had to expand my, I say, professional boundaries, because as a teacher I never gave out my phone number, but because of how things are changing, I actually gave out my number to the parents so that they can contact me more directly. Because, you know, my work hours are 7 to 3 or 4. Their work hours at the same time. They sometimes need to contact me outside of our work hours now. I've kind of had to be more understanding of that, and it's actually been okay. I thought the parents would overstep the boundaries, but they really haven't. They're very respectful. So because of that, I've been able to keep in touch with my students more, and I think that's really important.
That's awesome.
That's good advice.
Great. I forgot the question.
Something about what advice can we give, like, the teachers? Because we've been doing this for over a month.
Right. I totally agree about the admin streamlining the process. We made sure the entire middle school was on the same page. Everyone's using the same thing, and that really helped the chaos.
What do you mean by the same thing? What is
Same
that?
program.
Zoom. So, like, not using Google Hangouts for one class. Zoom
Are
for
you
another
trained
class.
on how to use those things?
No, we weren't.
Yeah, we learned. Our admin's amazing. My principal's amazing. He learned, our tech team learned, and they taught us as well.
They didn't teach us.
But and then our tech, we have a tech coach who compiled all these, like, free resources, because when America went on lockdown as well, then everyone opened up their packages and, like, for us to use. So I've been able to use really fun things that I've never been able to pay for. And they compiled it all in one place.
But that's the thing, it took us so long to get to the point where we feel confident in what we are teaching the kids and how we're leading lessons. So streamline things, get things in order.
I mean, with streamlining, what really helped our middle school especially, was that each grade level created an online spreadsheet that was open for the parents and the students. On this online spreadsheet, every day the teacher posts the work for the day. So instead of, like, students needing to go to, like, multiple places for each class to find things, this was one place that parents could just scroll through really quickly and see, oh, this is Monday, it's a day 3, these are all the things that my student should do, and these are all the times that they have Zoom.
I think that's really good. I've had to collaborate with specialty teachers a lot more than I ever had to. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was really helpful.
On a similar note, right, like, you're giving advice for educators, but what about students? If students were listening to this, how would you help them, or what advice do you have for them?
Oh man.
To remember to have routine, I think. All the kids who were struggling, I got them on an organizer. I got them on iCalendar that's in their computer because our school uses Macs, so everyone has it. Bougie. And then I got the kids also to set up a routine and remember to like schedule breaks for themselves because that's not something they would have thought to do because they're 10. I also told them to like plan their fun, so don't just wait till 3 p.m.
great.
and then go game. Like plan in your week. You have 7 days in a week. Plan some pockets of like brainless fun, which is like gaming, and then some like actual I need to use my brain but I'm gonna have fun. So like that would include sports, that would include reading, that would include something that maybe is not mindless game.
That's awesome, yeah.
Advice for the students: try to keep in touch with your classmates, stay connected. I feel like one thing that happens is we can feel really isolated when we're under quarantine. We literally have to stay at home, but it's important to reach out and continue your connections. Just simple things like share what you've been doing. My kids will share photos with each other on our class page, and I think those things are important. So
you have to be like creative with the ways you connect.
Yeah. Okay, so just a final question as we wrap up. How do you feel like you've grown personally from this like season and this experience?
Okay, so I feel like I'm a lot more aware of my limitations, and because online learning has taken so much out of me emotionally and like my brain and my time, I feel like I have had to be quite strict with myself and practice self-care, something that I feel like before I did not do until like I would maybe crash and crack a little bit and then like have some sort of like,
you really have to be intentional with self-care because right now we're alone, but we're not really having alone time for ourselves.
Yeah.
We are just spending a lot of time on our own.
Yeah.
But it's not really constructive to us as a person. It's not really relaxing.
Yeah.
So
And working from home as well, like setting boundaries is harder because you're like, oh, I always have to be on, or like, everything is accessible so I can work. Like, you don't have that distinction of workplace and home.
Your environment is changing.
Yeah.
So I feel like putting those boundaries on myself and forcing myself to be okay with taking a break or doing what makes me happy, that has really made me proud of myself.
Yeah, that's good. Mandy?
what? Wait, what was
How have you grown?
Yeah.
Same. I agree with Aileen. I'm learning how to do things like
Screencast. That was your big thing.
Learning how to record
Like a
my
screen record.
screen.
Oh.
It sounds so lame, but it was actually a skill I didn't know how to do.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do it either.
That's
And
awesome.
I've had to learn how to
Sharing
make.
info.
This is so funny.
I was like, Mandy, do you know you can use QuickTime to do a free screen record?
What?
That's awesome. That's like, it's good that you guys have a community of other educators.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
is
true.
so important. Yeah, so reach out to your educator friends too. That has been really helpful for me. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Yay. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Our pleasure.
Bye, audience of one.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed this as much as we enjoyed filming this. One of the key things that I took away from this conversation with Mandy and Aileen is, there's always something positive during in the darkness. There's always light in the darkness. And we didn't, expect that the coronavirus would ever happen, the situation where there's a global pandemic. But I think this has given all of us, a little bit more of an insight about, what we can do with our time. And it's very inspiring.
Yeah, it was so fun to film this episode with them, just because they're our good friends and they're incredible people. And I think even that they're also young, it's just cool to see how they've been able to tackle this together. To Mandy and Aileen, if you're listening, we love you guys. We so appreciate you coming and being a part of this podcast. It's just fun to do it with you. We were actually able to record in my room and just hang out. We had a couple of little, what are they called? Like the Instagram,
TikTok.
It's Instagram challenge, TikTok thingies. Yeah, it was just fun. We love you guys, and it's so cool to see you guys, I think, grow in your career and actually step up to a really difficult challenge.
Yeah,
I love watching that and seeing you guys really conquer it.
Yeah,
it's awesome. And if you have any other people in your community that are teachers, I think there are things we can do to support them. Yeah.
To all the teachers out there and all the parents as well, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I hope this conversation with Mandy and Aileen has sparked some hope and joy in your life as well, and pushed you and inspired you to, you know, think outside of the limits, or the limits that you have created for yourself, and to know that there is hope, and there's a whole community of people around you willing to help and provide you with resources for support as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, Adeline and I are really trying to figure out what this podcast is. I think it's going to turn into something a lot of fun, similar to kind of like what everyone is experiencing right now. It's pushing us, like we're hitting a brink where we're like, okay, either we're going to do nothing or we're going to do something. And I think this kind of came out of that. We're going to do something, and we're going to use our time wisely and have fun. I think this is just a good time for us to experiment. So
Yeah, no, I think what Audrey said was great. You know, this started as a passion project because we all have a little more time on our hands, and we're all, you know, really looking forward to connecting with other people as well. So this is another way that we can do that. And so thank you so much for listening. You know, we've really, really enjoyed connecting with one another and connecting with you on this podcast. So leave us some comments, you know, interact with us.
Forgot about the comments.
Yeah, we really love interacting with people. So this was great.